citizens are still being affected by a law that's supposed to protect them from themselves. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to get high, you ain't hurting nobody but your damn self. You know what I mean? Like, you have the right to make a stupid fucking decision. As a racist in America, you have a right to espouse whatever idea you want, so long as you ain't causing harm to another person, dog. That's what freedom and liberty is. You have the right to say what the fuck you want to say without threat of being thrown in prison for saying it. You know what I mean? As far as him saying that, I said the founding fathers wanted whites to have the freedom to enslave and lynch black people. I've never said that. I've never espoused any idea that I think it's okay for white people to hang black people. What the fuck is wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like, where's your fucking head at, dog? You know what I mean? Like, you're stuck in this mindset where it's blacks versus whites. You know what I mean? Like, on some real shit. Like, you probably the type of dude that get mad when you see a white girl with a black guy, or a black guy with a white girl. You know, you that type of guy. You know what I mean? Like, there's no room for motherfuckers like you in this day and age. You know, on some real shit. There's just no room for a motherfucker like you. You know what I mean? I mean, just the idea that because I said I would never advocate for silencing another person's right to say what they want to say. Like, yo, if the KKK had a march through my fucking town, I wouldn't agree with it. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't employ the officers or the police to go shut them down, because this is how small of a mind you have. You don't recognize that when you advocate for limiting somebody's right to say something, you in turn limit your own right to say something. You know what I'm saying? The idea that you're going to use the government to suppress someone else's rights and it's not going to come back to you, that it's never going to happen to you, is just foolish. I mean, looking at history, the government is just waiting for a majority of the American people to give them more authority to shut down someone else's right. And once they get that authority to do it, they hold on to the fucking authority. And then when the majority says, well, shut them down, they're going to come with that authority that you gave them initially to shut your ass down. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's beyond me. It really is beyond me, the level of hate in this guy's heart. You know what I mean? This guy that calls himself the real brother. I mean, you're a real fucking idiot to me. You know what I mean? I listen to the way you talk. I listen to the way that you just paraphrase my video and you put in words that I never even fucking said. You know what I mean? Like, and then you try to spin it like you're some kind of fucking intellectual or some shit. Like, yeah, I just don't get it. I don't understand how a motherfucker like you can still exist today. You know what I mean? Like you're saying that you hate racism, and then you define racism by default as something that only a white person can be. Obviously, that's not true. You know what I mean? Racism is basic. It can be true for all races. Like, there can be a Mexican racist dude, a black racist dude, a white racist dude. You know what I mean? And just from your own worldview that there's only white racists in the world, I mean, that alone discredits your whole fucking argument. You know what I mean? Like, you discredit yourself within the first 10, 15 seconds of your video, dog. You know what I mean? And then you have this, like, unwavering support for Barack Obama, like he's the Messiah or some shit. Like, I even heard you call him, like, the brilliant black genius. Like, what the fuck is that shit? You know what I mean? He goes on to say at the end of his video, shame on any black, or shame on any of us who disagree with the president. And he goes on to label other black people who also disagree with the president, who don't really approve of the president and his actions that he's taking. He's gone on to describe us as black, self-hating, wish they were white sellouts. You're right. Yeah, okay. I'm self-hating. Not necessarily. I kind of love myself. Wish I were white. Nothing against them, but I'm fine with what I am. You know what I mean? And I'm a sellout. Assuming that I owed some kind of loyalty to you for some fucking reason. And the reason that I would have to owe you that loyalty in your worldview is just because we have the same color skin. I mean, that to me is racism. You know what I mean? And he goes on to talk about the Civil Rights Act, right? You know what I mean? Like, and he says that I said the civil rights gave us the ability for a black president, proving we need to get rid of the Civil Rights Act. That's what he says I said. Now, if you go and watch my video, I go on to describe what Ron Paul's position was and what his opposition was in the Civil Rights Act. It was basically a property rights issue where the government basically tells the business owner that you have to do a certain thing. Now, in a free market, the government shouldn't have any say in your business, so long as it's your goods, you're working for it, and you're not harming anybody in the process. Now, what I really said was, I didn't agree with it, but I mean, it didn't bother me that, you know, he's a principled dude. He has to stick to the Constitution. The property rights is an actual right in the Constitution, so I can see where his objection would be. His actual solution to the property rights issue was to just amend the Constitution to where it wouldn't affect the property rights of a business owner, and also that we could have just repealed the fucking Jim Crow laws. You know what I mean? Like, and then this guy, the real brother, goes on and on to say about how I want white-only businesses and this and that and all of this. But I mean, I pose the question, right? If you're so against all-white businesses, right? You know what I mean? Like you claim to be. I'd have to ask you what your thoughts are on all-black colleges, right? Or scholarships that are given out based off of racial ethnicity. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't agree with somebody receiving a service or a good based off of the color of their race, I'd have to ask you just to see your consistency on the topic. What do you feel about all black colleges? And now, what you might not know about all black colleges and why they can still exist today is because when the civil rights legislation was written, they lobbied to have themselves exempt from the fucking bill, exempt from the civil rights legislation. You should ask yourself the fucking question. I mean, if these people are marching with Martin Luther King, you know what I mean, and they're protesting for the civil rights, why are they asking to be exempt from the legislation? You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about fucking consistency. You know what I mean? You look at an all-black college, it's a private institution, portionally funded by public funds, right? You know what I mean? Now, Martin Luther King goes marching in the streets, you know what I'm saying? And I'm all for that, for public schools to be desegregated. Now, this is something that these schools are being funded by the general welfare, by the general public. Our money is being taken from us through taxes and it's being put into these institutions. There's no reason why the government should separate us within the institutions when our money has it's not black money, white money, it's money, you know what I mean? Like, we're all paying for this shit. But then you got a private institution like an all-black college. I mean, if you're so against all white businesses, like you say you are, you have to be against an all-black college, you know what I mean? Or a fucking scholarship that has to do with the basis of your ethnicity, you know what I mean? So this is just this motherfucker, the real brother. What a clown! What a clown! That's all I can say. Is he's such a fucking clown. He also says that I said, if a racist business owner wants to kill blacks who stumble into their business, it's their right. What the fuck? Like, where do you come up with this shit, dog? You know what I mean? If a racist business owner wants to kill blacks who stumble into their business, it's their right. No, it's not their right. It's their right to be racist so long as they're not harming another human being. This is the principle of common law. You know what I mean? The basis of our legal structure today. Common law. You know what I mean? You have the right to say whatever the fuck you want to say so long as you ain't harming another person. So long as physical damage is not inflicted on another human being, you have the right to do what the fuck you're doing. That's what I said, not what you said. So, yeah, I just want to touch a few points on that clown. If you guys haven't seen him, I'm going to recommend you guys go over there for a couple laughs. It's kind of funny watching him dismantle my arguments. Like, what a fucking joke, dog. There's no place in a civil society for a motherfucker like you. You know what I mean? Real brother, go fuck yourself. Get out your mama's basement.